Building security is really one part of the story. But as I have read often lately, there is something equally important for businesses, and that is to build the capability to return operations to the operating normal as soon as possible. Now, cyber resilience is taking position among cybersecurity experts and enterprises as they are devising their enterprise security strategy. And I really want to know more. Now, in this multi-pass podcast series, we've covered a wide range of topics around enterprise security. So to talk to us about cyber resilience, we have back with us Ripu Bajwa, the Director and General Manager for Data Protection Solutions at Dell Technologies India. Hi, Ripu. Thanks for joining in again.
Hey, Ashwin. Thanks. And hello, everyone.
Now, Ripu, this is sort of continuing the conversation that we had a while back. Businesses have traditionally depended on recovery protocols after cyber attacks. And these recovery protocols have been, let's go back to our backup solutions. But how has this changed today, and how are businesses looking at cyber resiliency rather than just going to backups and restoring backups?
Well, actually, this is a great question, Ashwin. And increasingly, if you see and monitor the current level of cyber incidents, breaches, attacks which have happened in the recent past, and even in the earlier days, backups literally lead to the people who are coming into the organization as with different motives, that this kind of data is more important to the organization which is getting backed up. So backups typically become the first target for these bad actors. They come to know which data is more sensitive, how much it is really worth, what are the policies, how often it is getting backed up, etc. And therefore, when they are in the dormant stage in the organization, they are literally first targeting the backup scenario, the backup infrastructure completely, before taking the production systems down and really surfacing in the form of an attack. And that basically leads as backups, which were kept more for operational recoveries. Are they the right ways in which we need to continue when it comes to cyber recovery? Now, as you can imagine, people have planned for disasters. They have created disaster site. They replicate their data into a far site. And they do all kind of BCP, DR drills to make sure that their systems are up in case of a natural disaster. Could be floods, could be, outage of power, anything. In case of a cyber attack, the topology is different. The very basics in which the attack surfaces is very different. It actually corrupts the backup environment. It actually takes down the connected DR also in the process. And it is global in nature. And to recover, you need a different kind of a strategy. You just cannot bring it up, in a non-clean environment. You have to get the forensics in place, and the recovery and the remediation plan has to be different in case of a sophisticated cyber incident. That has literally posed a new challenge to the backup landscape. Backups were built for availability, whereas today's world is all about how do I make sure that I keep my data isolated from these bad actors so that I can return my crown jewels in a very, very secure manner in no time and without paying any ransom. So this is the new dimension in which now the recovery is being asked, that we need to show recoveries. So while backups are important, they need to be there. We need to have backups for operational recovery. We need to also protect the backups with a cyber vault, which is to create a layer where I can go back to, in case of a full incident, how do I go and make sure that my clean data is available from the vault? And that is how the next level of cyber recovery or the cyber resilience is coming into organizations. That how do I really make my businesses, my data, my organization's crown jewels secure from a cyber attack? No longer by connected DR sites, I will be able to do that. I need to create a cyber vault, which will be isolated, have immutable data, as well as I can do some intelligent analytics. So this is the new way in which people have to really prepare themselves for cyber resilience.
Ripu, there are a lot of fascinating concepts in which which you just spoke about right now, and I'm just trying to really get my head around a lot of these things, that you have just, discussed here. Help me understand this, and I know you can't give a one-size-fits-all solution, that's going to work across every enterprise and business out there. But what does an ideal setup a setup look like for businesses that want to, bring in the state-of-the-art stuff that you were just talking right now, and really get their cyber resiliency game in action?
Right. We actually have a very, as Dell Technologies, we have been working in this space for past more than 5 years, helping organizations combat cyber attacks and come out clean with their data in no time. And as part of our offerings, what we have done is we have created, solutions for all organizations who want to be on this journey. We look at identifying what workloads are most critical and what are the most important data sets. Could be the IP the organization has, and it varies from vertical to vertical. Like healthcare, it could be a lot of detailed records that you're keeping of certain health systems. In case of oil and gas, it could be the seismic data that you have got. It could be in financial world. It could be the important transactions that I had, or the customer data itself, the analytics on which you're doing and running your businesses. That is super critical. That is your IP. In manufacturing, it could be the designers' data which you need to keep yourself in line, operationally alive in case of a cyber attack also. How do you really make sure business is not shut? Now, that is the data which should be protected with a vault implemented with additional security in your system, that in case of an attack, when your production and your backups are also taken down, I have my crown jewels fully secure in the vault. And from the vault, I'm able to detect the attack also and proactively alert myself that yes, these are the malware which is coming to the system, and I should be able to go back in time and pick up the right gold copy and restore my businesses with that gold copy. Now, this is the kind of recovery process which can get businesses of all sizes to look at what are their crown jewels, how they need to be protected further, so that they are not helpless at the time of an attack. They are not waiting endlessly for the data to be recovered from their backup environments, which are rebuilding, and it could take a lot of time. This data is always available to them securely from a vault. And this is how the cyber vault design actually takes place in organizations who want to really go to that highest level of cyber resilience.
Ripu, you just used the word forensics, and it had me thinking that, the amount of data that you have to go through in order to understand where your attacks are coming from, what is the level of the breach, and how to, fortify yourself. It's really hard for a team of even, let's say, 10 or 15 or 20 security researchers to be able to go in and look through that and to really work out a remedy and, rebuild the fortification in time. I hear a lot of artificial intelligence and machine learning talk, in the market now. Just help me understand this, and two parts to this really. Is cyber resiliency being helped by AI and ML? And if they are, how are they doing so?
Very much, Ashwin. Actually, this is the real secret sauce that we use in the cyber world. You would ask me that why can't I do what I'm doing? Why do I need a vault? Why can't I secure my backups further? Nature in which we have to detect the malware has to be done with a fast analytics software engine, which cannot happen in the production system because it's in the connected way. This has to happen in an isolated environment. And that's why one of the key tenets of everyone who's looking at cyber resilience is recommending, and regulators are also coming in with that strong recommendation, that you need to keep your data which you have to analyze and detect for that malware in an isolated environment. An immutable copy has to be generated so that your earlier copies are secure and the new one doesn't corrupt the old ones. And then analyze it. Analyze it fast, because you need a very, very short recovery point objective, which means how much data can I afford to redo or lose so that I'm back in business. So which is called the RPO. Now, an example is there could be softwares which would actually detect this malware and take a file type. They could do it by looking at the metadata. But there is only, as Dell Technologies, we are providing the software, which is CyberSense, which does at all three levels, which is the file type, the metadata, as well as the full content. We actually scan and run heuristics to find out an entropy number, which actually helps us find out quickly whether this file is having any malicious content. And we are able to actually detect that malware very fast. By doing that sufficiently in that short span, we are able to move the RPO norms very, very close to the business levels, which is less than a day. Which means today, if I have some data to be done, I don't have to redo for more than a day. I can actually come up to the last level and just apply the 1 day's transaction, and I'm up and running, which is much, much better than today's world attacks, which we're seeing, where data is compromised and then the recovery can go up to days and even months. And during that time, certain businesses and applications which need that data, they are absolutely in a state of pause, because now you cannot actually do anything. The businesses are literally, on their knees, which means today, if I have implemented a cyber war using a software like what I just described in terms of scanning engine, the power of it to do all three levels of scanning using AI/ML technologies, and because these heuristics are developed by us over multiple levels of correlation of data, we are able to detect that malware very fast. And that's the secret sauce that we apply in the cyber world, to detect the malware fast, so that in case of an attack, I am back in business in no time. Less than a day, definitely, and making sure that there's no compromise. I don't have to pay any ransom. The data of which I want to secure is always available for me, in the world. I can run my operations. I can come back. I can have a clean room where I can again start my operations with that clean data. So that in a way is coming because of the fast algorithms that we have built and the AI/ML tools which are running in our CyberSense software in the world. So that in a nutshell actually describes why the need to create a cyber world on three basic philosophies, which is isolation, immutability, and intelligence, which is to detect things very fast and come back in no time.
Well, and more power to you, Ripu. I mean, thank you. Fascinating insight into what's going on behind the scenes when you're looking at businesses that have been attacked and how quickly they're able to return back to operations. And of course, minimizing the losses while ensuring that business still remains business as usual as they go forward. Truly enlightening to have you with us on this podcast series, Ripu, and helping us understand the importance of cyber resilience and how businesses should think about cyber resilience as they're designing their security strategy. It's great to have you back with us, and I look forward to having you on our other podcasts as well. Thank you so much again, Ripu.
Thank you. Thank you, Ashwin. Pleasure.